What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Wash Kings podcast, sponsored by Dude Wipes. Not really, but use Dude Wipes anyways. It's the best clean pants down. This is your go-to spot for all things Denver Nuggets. We will be here weekly to catch you up on everything you need to know in preparation for the 2025 playoffs. I'm your host, Cam Kennedy, and I am joined today by my incredible co-hosts of brothers and cousins. Starting off with Evan Kennedy, who is out in the Pacific Northwest representing Seattle. Ev, how's it going?
Go, Cam. How are you?
Doing good, man. Good to hear from you. I'm also joined by Patrick Kennedy, who lives in North Carolina, but is touring the Big Apple right now. Pat, how is New York?
Oh, New York is great. I am so excited to be on today. Was able to find some time in between all of this travel to hop on with you guys. So very excited how the stars kind of aligned for the timing of all this. So yeah, let's do it.
Glad you were able to make it. And lastly, we have Kennedy Phillips, our Midwest rep in the Dirty Lou. Bear, how are things in St. Louis?
You know, St. Louis is 72 and sunny today. It's beautiful. And I don't have to worry about parent-teacher conferences tonight, so life is good.
And we are also here with our super producer, Matthew Hinnon, on the keys. Thank you for your help, Matt. Thanks for being here. The Wash Kings have a great show for you today. We're going to be covering this past week of Nuggets basketball, including their wins versus the Kings and the Suns and their tough loss yesterday to the Oklahoma City Thunder. We're also going to be talking about Aaron Gordon's injury and the impacts that will have on the Nuggets for the remainder of this season. And finally, we will look ahead at the Nuggets' upcoming schedule as they are still a part of their statement week, as they call it, and what our biggest concerns are going to be for the Nuggets as we come down the stretch before the playoffs. Let's start off with some quick hitters and mention some newsworthy notes around the NBA from this past week. About last week, we saw LeBron hit his 50,000th point mark. We saw Peyton Pritchard and Derek White both score 40 points in a win, which is crazy. We saw LeBron confront Stephen A. Smith in the middle of their overtime win against the Knicks. And the funniest part about this was that Larry David was sitting right next to them. I can only imagine a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode being written right there. We saw the Lakers lose to Boston, and LeBron is down with a groin injury for 1 to 2 weeks. The Cavs have won 14 in a row, and Michael Porter Jr. is now second all-time in three-pointers made in Nuggets franchise history, passing. Who do you think it is, Ev? It's Will Barton. We all love Will Barton.
Will the thrill, yep, baby.
Any of these things coming out to you guys that you want to comment on? Just kind of some noteworthy things that happen around the NBA.
Sure. Yeah, I feel like a lot of these things in the last week kind of revolve around the Lakers, and I feel like in the last couple weeks it's kind of revolved around them with the Luka trade and whatnot. And it has been exciting to keep up, especially this time of year with the NBA going into the playoffs. And it seems like, the media always loves to talk about LA, and myself as well as you, Cam, we're both LeBron James fans, and so pretty crazy stuff that's going on all around. And obviously, he just got injured with the groin, and so it'll be really interesting to see how things pan out there in LA.
Gotta admit, I liked him confronting Stephen A. Smith a little bit there, but it was really funny that Larry David was right there.
I think that LeBron's kind of going at Stephen A. is what a lot of people wish they could do, but we're not all LeBron James capable of doing such a thing. But I do think that ESPN and all the people there are very happy that the Lakers are relevant, which always makes me a little annoyed.
That's for sure. I think Charles Barkley also said it well, too, earlier this week. He was calling out ESPN and Kendrick Perkins and those guys for those reasons, which is good to hear, too. Anyways, let's get on to actually, before we start that, Pat, how's PK's DK's going right now? How's the bet looking?
Good, man. So we got a segment here called PK's DK, and the action never stops at DraftKings Sportsbook. Neither does PK's DK. Welcome to the Wash Kings. It's time for PK's DK, where we break down the best bets, biggest lines, and sharpest plays for the Nuggets and beyond. Whether riding with Jokic, fading the competition, or just looking for value, DraftKings has you covered. Because at DK, the crown is yours. And so for today's bet, obviously this game is live right now as we speak. We're talking about the second game of the back-to-back with the Denver Nuggets versus Oklahoma City Thunder. Right now, the Nuggets are trailing 78-84 in the third quarter. Prior to the game, I had a lay at plus 136 odds, so a $10 bet would return you 13 bucks and 60 cents. And so it was a 5-leg parlay. I had Nikola Jokic 20 plus points, Christian Brown 10 plus points, and he's been on a consistent tear with the Nuggets, so I felt like that was a pretty good lock. Third, I had Jokic 1+ steals, and that's been a bet for me all year. That's like adds to the lay and gives me a couple extra bucks in return. Uh, Fourth, I had Nikola Jokic to record a double-double, was a minus 900 leg. Similar thing, bound to happen no matter what. And lastly, this one has already hit, Michael Porter Jr. to record 2+ made threes. And so, like I said, $10 to return, $13.60 for a total payout of $23.60.
As it looks right now, Pat, the bet is doing pretty well right now, except for Christian Brown, who has no field goals made right now. Only 4 points, but he's got time to get there.
Okay, yeah, we'll see how it goes.
We'll be keeping a track of that game as it goes along right now as we record. Thank you, Pat. Let's start out in segment one. We're going to take a look back at the week that the Nuggets just had as they played the Kings, the Suns, and OKC. The Kings game was last Wednesday. It was a weird game. It was a low-effort, classic regular season effort from the Nuggets. The Kings deployed the Jokic rules strategy on the Nuggets, where you just deny him the ball the whole time. You don't let him have any freedom to move, and you foul the hell out of him the whole game, and the refs somehow let it slide. Sacramento was up 9 late in the third quarter, and then early in the fourth quarter, Zeke Naji hit a huge three-pointer to take the lead, which fired up everybody, which was really cool to see. Russ had 25, Jamal had 24, and my notes said that this game was drunk, so it just must have been a really wild and weird one. But Denver had a great fourth quarter. They won by 15, and they won the game 116-110. Guys, that was just last Wednesday, but any notes on that game, any larger picture things from that? Really, it's not the biggest story, but
I think that, anytime, well, not anytime, but it seems like more often than not lately, except for this kind of Thunder series, mini series, teams are kind of starting to play that little JJ Redick strategy on Yoke. And it seems to be an adjustment that we need to figure out, I think, come playoff time. I know we'll talk a little about that later on, but it's been kind of interesting to see them try to figure out how to, counterattack what defenses have been doing to them. So I think that's something to look out for as we keep moving forward.
What do you think has been working?
Guys got to make shots. I mean, that's what it comes down to with any time. In some nights it seems like it's really easy in the Jokic system. People double them and guys hit an open shot. But we need to have consistent guys that can get up, 3-4 threes a night from a guy like Mike, a guy like CB even. I think we're going to be relying on CB a lot more than we thought we would compared to like a KCP in past. But that's what guys are used to. I think with Yoke, he's going to attract attention, but I think now it's more noticeable than ever.
Guys definitely got to hit shots. But that was the Kings game. Let's look at the Suns game from Friday night and the overtime win over the Suns, 149-141. This game was great for 3 quarters for the Nuggets and then awful in the fourth. But then again, it was great in overtime. The lead here is that Jokic had a 30-20-20 game, the first ever in NBA history, 31 points, 21 rebounds, 22 assists, shooting 59% from the field and 30 of 7 from deep. Just incredible that he did this, and he did it so casually and easy somehow. But it's actually not that surprising if you consider that Jokic is Jokic, and he's capable of the impossible. Any notes from that game specifically, and if you want to comment on the 30-20-20 game for Jokic?
Sure, I'll go first. Obviously, like you said, it's the first 30-20-20 game in history. And as we were texting in our group chat early on, Kennedy said Jokic might go for a 20-20-20 game. And so I thought it was just kind of like a funny preconceived thought. Didn't think it'd go anywhere. However, he turned it on in the second half and obviously ended up with a stat line that's being described as one of the greatest performances in NBA history. And to see that happen, and as tight of a race as the MVP race has been, I think that's like a lot of people are starting to believe in Jokic in a race that has been mostly headed by SGA. And not only was it was the first 30-20-20 game in history, that was the game, the most assists in a game by a center ever at 22, which I think is absolutely incredible.
It makes sense for him to have that record and pass Wilt on that because he is the greatest passing big of all time, maybe the greatest passer ever. So that was a huge one from overtime, or that overtime win on Friday night. Now, the biggest game of this week was definitely the Thunder game yesterday. They lost 127 to 103. It was a good game for 3 quarters, but then in the fourth quarter, the Thunder beat us by 21. OKC has the best defensive rating in the NBA, the number one defense in the paint. They defend the three-pointer the best out of anybody. They don't let you get out in transition, and they have the best point differential in NBA history so far. They made the Nuggets' depth look rough, and once AG went down, I thought that was a big point of this game, was that OKC's depth is just really hard to handle, and the only team that might have enough guys is Cleveland in terms of the NBA. But what are some of your guys' big takeaways from that game that we saw yesterday?
I more so have a question about what you guys think on that game, because I know there was a lot said about the officiating and how that impacts things. So I'm curious if you guys had any thoughts there.
I think that the officiating was not the biggest reason that they lost that game. There was definitely some calls that SGA got favored on. He always will. That's kind of how he plays a little bit. He foul grifts a little bit, and it works because they're going to reward it. But I don't think the officiating was as big as a story as I thought it was when I was watching it. Once I kind of settled down, I was a little less worried about the officiating in that one. But you had some thoughts, Bear.
I mean, there was that wild one where like SGA landed, or like he jumped into Westbrook, right? Westbrook didn't even touch him. And
that was awful.
That was
bad.
Then there's one where Westbrook got whacked in the face. Right.
Well, that no call was actually really big because Chet Holmgren would have fouled out in that game, or right there.
Well, and Holmgren went down the court and scored, right?
Yeah, they scored. Mike Malone got a tech after that, so they got a free throw as well. So they went from a 5-point lead to like an 8 or 9-point lead or something like that. Yeah, that was pretty game changing for sure.
Yeah, my thought was that instantly killed it for us, but I don't want to dominate. So yeah, curious what the other guys think.
Go ahead, Bear.
I think that's kind of what OKC does, is just kind of gets people upset a little bit. It kind of reminds me of and obviously not to the degree of a James Harden era with the Rockets, but like, I think it's just a little frustrating to watch sometimes, especially when you're used to a superstar that does it a completely different way. I found myself pretty annoyed yesterday with some of the stuff that SGA does, but at the same time, he's super good. He's super skilled. So a little bit of both, but I think that the officiating has been a little odd, but I also think it's a little highlighted to us all when it's an intense game, and we know that SGA kind of gets those calls.
Yeah, once the anger and initial, when the game's over and when you're watching it, you really feel emotional about it, and then when it's over, you kind of get more level-headed and think about it more. And then I was listening to some podcasts, and it's like, yeah, dude, SGA had 40 points, and he sort of saved his field goal percentage at the end of the game because I didn't think he was shooting that well. Then he ended up shooting 48% from the field. I know. But he did close this game out really strong. He made his MVP case clear. I think he has it all locked up at this point. That was a big narrative win and a statement win for him. And I'm just sort of at the point of accepting that Jokic isn't going to win the MVP award this year, and that's okay.
I don't know about that though, because like Jokic, when he had his 30-20-20, he had 3 free throws that entire game.
Yeah, that was wild.
You know, it's just, I think he plays. I mean, I'm biased, right? But all around, I think he's just a little bit more rounded. He's less reliant on the officiating. Like, don't you think that stuff has to play into it, or is it literally just like the large point values that we see at the end of the game?
I think voters have already decided for the most part. I mean, I heard some today, like Ryan Russillo and Bill Simmons were talking, and they weren't sure who they were voting for yet, actually, which I was surprised to hear. But it makes sense because there's still like 18 games left. But I really think that the narrative for SGA is so strong. And even though Jokic is having one of the greatest seasons of all time, SGA is having a really good season too. And it's sort of like, I don't want to diminish what he's doing, but it's sort of like it's kind of his turn now. And I think that is really being shown on national media and stuff. So
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
go ahead, Pat. Sorry.
yeah. So if you're pulling for SGA to win the MVP, I mean, you're obviously relying on the voter fatigue to come into play, and I think that's the biggest driving factor for SGA right now is that voter fatigue coming into play. Obviously, we see what Jokic is doing night in, night out, averaging a triple double right now. And so, I mean, I've seen polls on both Twitter and on Instagram of who should be the MVP versus, and it's not only Nuggets pages asking about this, it's like overall NBA pages. And there was one today, and it was around 70% of people were saying that Jokic is MVP, and only about 30% were saying
That's
SGA.
good.
And it's like, yeah, I mean, the fans are agreeing that it should be Jokic, but then again, you got the voter fatigue coming into play, which will
He
most likely, I mean,
right.
not most likely, but I mean,
It
you'd have to
happens.
think that SGA will win with the voter fatigue.
And the Thunder are so overwhelmingly the best team in the Western Conference, and they have such a huge lead on the second and third seed that a lot of those things are a very strong case for SGA. So you can't be too upset about it. I think we lost Evan. I think he went to go grab a dude wipe or something. But we're gonna move on. We're gonna go into segment 2. Matt,
Wait,
what's the score looking
am
like?
I not here?
Evan's still here, by the way.
Oh, I don't see him on screen.
Oh, I see him. He's still
Oh,
here.
okay. Well, you can just cut that then. Matt, I'm gonna go to you now though. What's the score looking like?
Sure.
Give me a little update.
We have, I believe it's 99, 93, or 96 with a minute and 35 left.
So-
Come on, boys. Come on.
In the third.
And we're back out of the break. The Nuggets are playing the Thunder right now, and it is 99-99 late in the third quarter. We're going to try to get off here soon and watch the rest of that game. But, guys, I want to talk about, in segment 2, Aaron Gordon's calf injury. This might be something that we call the fall damage report with EvDog, where we go over Nuggets injuries, because if you've ever played Fortnite with Evan, you know he's always falling off a mountain or a building or something. So a little fall damage report with EvDog. It was announced today that AG is out for this game, obviously. He just re-aggravated that calf injury yesterday. I don't think we know the length or the timeline of this injury for Gordon, and if it's serious or not. But this just sucks for the Nuggets. It obviously was a big game changer for them yesterday in their loss. They need AG. This injury has been consistent throughout the season, and he has not been able to get into a rhythm with everyone and with the Nuggets starting lineup. And the Nuggets, in turn, have struggled to find a rhythm and a true identity without AG in all these injuries for long stretches. But guys, how... I love that. Got to throw that in there. That's how it makes you feel, though, because he had 4 weeks.
That was the anger. That was the anger scream.
Four
Sorry.
weeks in November. This is when the calf strain started. 4 weeks in November, he was out. Came back for a stretch, and then on Christmas was out for another 3 weeks. Then he's been in and out playing throughout since Christmas, or since that 3-week injury, and now he's out again. And guys, I'm asking, do you think that the Nuggets should just kind of sit him and have him healthy for the playoffs, because we know how important he is for this team come playoff time?
I think that it needs to be not necessarily like load management, but I think we need to be careful.
Real cautious,
with
yeah.
him. Because you need that guy healthy. I think he's way more important to our defense than even people that understand that he's a huge defender for us understand. I think it puts a lot of extra pressure on a guy like Christian Brown to be able to defend at an even higher level than he can. And then it just kind of mixes up that lineup a little bit, because maybe you're going a little bit bigger with a guy like Mike, who's pretty well known to, not be the best defender. He's got good length, but he can't really move his feet the way AG can. And then if you don't have AG, it's either Zeke, or they've been kind of going with that Westbrook lineup. So I think you got to kind of ease it back in, which is frustrating because that seems like what they've been trying to do all year. So I think, as Cam was saying, maybe it's give it a little bit more time and just kind of figure things out before playoffs get here.
It sucks because you don't want to hold them out completely until the playoffs, because you're not going to get any run and rhythm heading into the playoffs themselves. But you want to be super cautious with this, because you could argue that he's the third most important Nugget. He probably is. And they need him. They are 25-13 this season when he plays, and 16-10 when he doesn't. He changes the identity of this team, and he makes them that much better defensively. Pat, what do you think they should do? Is it sort of what Ken was saying with like a little bit of a load manage, or should they just shut him down for the rest of the year?
Yeah, I agree with a lot with what Kennedy had said, and it just sucks because I think it is his fourth injury, right? And I think, like you said, Cam, he's been bouncing in and out of injuries, and when he returned to the Kings game the other night, earlier this week, he came out on fire, especially shooting from threes. He was 7 from
That
10
was
from
the
three, and
Suns
he's
game.
been. Or I
Yep.
mean, the Suns game. Yes,
Yep.
thank you. Shot 7 of 10 from three, tying a career high. Put up a quiet 27, which was, absolutely huge. That helped us in that overtime win.
He
And
had
so,
4 straight threes to start the game, by the way.
Yeah.
4 straight.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
It was
thank you, Matt.
incredible.
And so, that's the excitement. That's the fun AG that we want, and that's the fun AG that we had in 2023 and 2024. And so, like, if you want the Nuggets to fight for that first seed, probably won't get first seed, but if you want them to fight for second or third seed, short term, you'd probably want AG to rest for the next 1 to 2 games, depending on where his injury's at and how severe it is. But long term, I'm fine sacrificing for like the 3-4 spot at this point, dropping a few games for a healthy AG come playoff time, because I really do believe you need him 100% for playoffs. So I'm fine sacrificing that 2 or 3 seed and maybe securing 3 or 4 seed as long as they have a healthy team, because as we know, a healthy Nuggets team can be scary.
Absolutely.
And a lot of it relies on the 3-point shooting. And if AG is contributing to the 3-point shooting, as we saw in that Suns game, it's huge.
Yeah, that spacing is going to be big. Ev, do you think, or do you agree with Pat sort of that you're okay with sacrificing some of the wins down the stretch, or not wins, but some of these games down the stretch? They have a really tough schedule ahead of themselves and be okay with being like a 4 or 5 seed potentially if you fall that far. Are you okay with that in order to preserve AG come playoff time?
Yeah, no, I like Pat's take on that. I think it's thinking long term versus short term, right? And I think, I don't know, seeding doesn't matter in the long run, right? If you're at full
Home
strength.
court didn't help us last year against the Timberwolves.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm looking at the standings right now, and I guess that would put, as it stands right now, if we were 4 seed, Memphis would move ahead of us, and we'd play the Rockets then in the first round. So that, I don't know if I feel badly about that or not, but I think, just to echo everyone's points too, like AG is kind of, he's a vibes guy. He's like the soul
Mr.
of
Nugget.
the team. Yeah, exactly.
You need him on the court.
Yeah, and especially too with with MPJ not doing particularly well at 3 right now. For whatever reason, AG is stepping in and filling that spot, and I feel like that is important. The extra size and physicality that he brings when he's out there. Like, we started Westbrook tonight. I don't know if that's a winning strategy.
Yeah, the Thunder exposed that yesterday at the start of the second half for sure without AG. That size helps.
Yeah. Who did we start at the beginning of the second half?
The same starters for tonight. It was just Russ in place of AG.
Oh, funny that we're running it back then.
Which, to be fair, that lineup has been successful this year, Russ in place of AG. But sometimes it can't be played against a team like OKC,
Yeah. It's just interesting that they ran it back again today. So
Malone is playing some chess or something. I don't know.
Yeah. And Bear kind of poked at it a little bit earlier in his take. I think, and this could be a silver lining before playoffs, is just the adjustment to the rotation if AG is out maybe 1 to 2 weeks or even more. Just getting more minutes for guys off the bench like Zeke Naji, Peyton Watson. Obviously, we've seen Pickett get some more minutes. But some of those bigger guys to take on a bigger role defensively, as well as get some crucial minutes down the stretch in these games throughout the rest of the season. I think that'll be huge come playoff time once these guys come off the bench. Like, some of their nerves will kind of be out of the way by then. And I think in addition to that, Brown will probably take a much bigger role defensively.
He's going to have to, which is hard if we play a team like OKC because I don't think anybody can handle Shea, but he's got to do his best in that matchup. If there's no more thoughts on the segment 2, we might take a break here and go into segment 3. But just to inform everyone, as we're watching the Nuggets play the Thunder live right now, it is 109 to 101. The Nuggets are up 8 with 10 minutes to go. So things are heating up in OKC. Hopefully the Nuggets can pull off this win, and we're going to take a break. Damn.
Matt, give me an update
Matt.
on PK's DK.
Yep.
Peyton Watson hit a big 3 in the corner, and then Jamal Murray goes down and basically from the same wing hits another huge 3-pointer. So 109-101 fourth quarter.
Is the bet going to hit?
With 10 minutes left. The bet for TK's DK.
CB 11 points.
The bet has hit.
Let's go.
CB has 11.
Let's
Yoke
go, baby.
has a steal. MPJ, 2 3-pointers made. Yoke is recorded a double-double, and Yoke is now over 20 points.
Pat, we should have went bold. We should have done Nuggets money line. Don't want to jinx. Don't want to jinx them. Sorry.
I was, I was.
10 minutes left.
There's 10 minutes left.
I was thinking about it, but I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I was thinking about adding Nuggets money line, but I didn't want to have us
Screw
lose
that
the
parlay.
first PK's DK on the first episode.
We needed an easy one. We needed a dub, right?
Yeah, we did. Hey, so let's get into this next.
Yeah,
Wait,
this third one's gonna go quicker.
Can I pitch an idea real quick?
Yeah, what's up?
Go ahead.
So I was thinking, you know how they do ad reads?
Yeah.
I only listen to DNVR, so that's my only frame of reference.
No,
But
yeah,
they
they
do
do.
those ad reads in the middle. Since we don't have any advertisers, I thought it might be funny if we did like a Chat GPT ad read, and we said like, "Hey, write me an ad for Dude Wipes or something," and then we just read that.
Would you read it, Ev?
Yeah, I would read it.
All right, do it.
I tell you what, I had ChatGPT do my PK's DK.
Oh, funny.
Did you?
That was so sick.
That was good, bro.
Yeah.
I thought you
Also,
shit out of that, dude. I thought that was totally made up.
yeah. Before we, or as we go into the the next segment, Matt, do you mind confirming that the PK's DK hit
We'll do that, and Matt.
at some point? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, in the next segment. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm ready whenever.
Okay, here we go. All right. Thunder have a timeout right now. Okay, so 3, 2, 1, and we're rolling.
Matt, let's check in on PK's DKs. How's it going?
Yeah. So PK's DK for today, the 5-pick parlay on DraftKings was plus 114. Pat, I think you had it for a little bit more at the time that you had done it, and I just trailed you. Had it hit, so we had a 20 plus Jokic points. I think he's at 25, 26 right now, 24, something like that.
CB.
I don't have the live stats up right now. By the way, live, the Nuggets are kind of rolling. I don't want to jinx anything. Christian Brown, 11 points, needed 10 plus. Jokic had a steal. We only needed 1. MPJ, we needed 2 threes. He made 2. And Jokic with another double. And
great beat, Pat.
PK's DK
1-0
of the week. And that was a great beat.
1-0 on PK's DKs.
Patty locks.
It's I maybe should have added Nuggets money line, but I didn't want us to have a loss on podcast number 1. But
We'll see.
I'm very, very satisfied with the win, regardless.
Attaboy, Patty. All right, we're going to go into a break again real quick. Evan has the ad read for us, and we'll see you after the break.
Okay. Ad read number 1. All right, Nuggets fans, let's talk real for a second. You ever find yourself in a situation where you need a little cleanup? Maybe after crushing a plate of wings during the game, or let's be real, after a Jokic triple-double, it gets you out of your seat a few too many times? Yeah, let's not even start on those long nights at Ball Arena where the bathroom situation, questionable at best. That's where Dude Wipes comes in clutch. Listen, toilet paper, It's playing drop coverage on your mess. It's slow, inefficient, and leaves way too much behind. But Dude Wipes, that's elite perimeter defense for your backside. Strong, effective, and built to shut it down. Made with 99% water and aloe, they're extra large, extra smooth, and flushable, so you can take care of business like a true MVP. Look, the Nuggets run a high
Did you
efficiency
say
offense.
extra large?
Yes. I'm just doing the ad read, Ken. Let me do the ad read. Look,
Let
the
him cook.
Nuggets run a high efficiency offense. You should too. So stop settling for TP when you could be running. Dude Wipes.
I'm going to need a dude wipe after that Jalen Pickett step back three. The
Yeah.
Nuggets are up 10, fellas.
That was money.
8:49 to go. Jalen Pickett
That was really good.
making sure we're keeping it clean. All right. Thank you, Ev. We're back for segment 3. We're looking ahead at the Nuggets' upcoming week of games. Hopefully tonight ends well. We're going to see. We're going to keep tracking that along and keep you updated. But the Nuggets have 17 games left after this game. As we were filming, the Nuggets are playing the Thunder. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of interesting things to talk about in next week's show. But they have a 3-game homestand coming up with the Timberwolves on Wednesday, the Lakers on Friday, and the Wizards on Saturday. By the time we film next week's episode, they will also be playing the Golden State Warriors at 8 p.m. Mountain Time that night. So hopefully we can do a little preview for that show, some more DKs, PKs, and Dude Wipes talking. That team's going to be tough. Golden State Warriors are hot and rejuvenated since they got Jimmy Butler, but that's next Monday. Hopefully by next show, we're talking about some good wins against the Wolves, Lakers, and maybe even tonight with the Thunder. And then hopefully a non-sweaty win over the Wizards. But that's the slate. It's a big week of games coming up for Denver, some really tough games. What are you guys hoping to see from the Nuggets this week, but also in general for the final 17 games of the season for the Nuggets?
I'm going to take this one, Cam, because I really want to, with the last couple of games that have been played, and especially against the Thunder, I want to see some rest. I want to see Jokic get some rest minutes. I want to see we need AG back in whatever way, shape, or form that you can. So I want to see Michael Malone really make some better decisions, especially in rotations, especially resting some guys. I think he needs to do a better job with that. And then effort. I mean, we've talked about this, since 2023, 2022 in the championship season as well. The Nuggets just have this weird effort thing. They
Regular season effort. Yep.
Or they don't, and they either make decent decisions or they make super poor decisions down the road. So interested to see kind of how they kind of mold to that, and then interested to see how Michael Malone kind of formulates going into the playoffs here as Russell Westbrook hits a big three.
That's a good one, Matt. Thanks for contributing that. Ken, what do you want to see from the Nuggets?
I'm kind of honestly a little bit of the opposite of Matt. I think a little bit, but I think in terms of the rest, I totally think we need rest. But I think that against the Lakers and the Timberwolves, I think this little mini series has been huge for the Nuggets against the Thunder.
Tape measure game.
I need them to show me that they can beat a good team. I feel like they went on this really great run after the All-Star break. But they were just beating, some pretty lower tier teams. So I have been very encouraged though with how hard they fought against this OKC team without an AG. So I kind of a little bit of both with Matt. I think I'd like to see them, take these next couple of games pretty seriously. I don't think they get a huge lull in their schedule, but once they play a team like the Bulls in a couple of weeks, kind of pick and choose your games and get some guys some rest, and hopefully you can pick up some wins in those. But I think that if you want to be the best, you got to be able to go out and compete against some of these better teams. So a little bit of both, I would say, not one way or the other. But I think some rest is important. But I also want to see them competing against some good teams.
Those are good ones. My biggest one was a statement win. They haven't had one this season. They haven't really beat good teams. As we're filming this, they're playing well right now, and hopefully they can close out this game. this would be an example of a game that makes me feel a lot more confident. This OKC game that they're playing right now. But Pat, Ev, I know we want to hear from you guys on this one too.
Yeah, I think to echo just some of the sentiments that we've expressed, I want to see like guys step up in the shooting game a little bit, and I think as I'm watching the game against OKC right now, a lot of threes, like Jokic is passing, and we're knocking it down, and that's the key. What Kennedy said before, that's how we get Jokic some spacing, and then he becomes our number one weapon like he's always been. So I think that's a big one. But also, um, I liked Kennedy's take on just beat the good teams, man. Like you got to be able to beat the Lakers.
Put
You got to be
together
able to beat
48 good minutes.
yeah, yeah, and you got to be able to beat OKC. You're gonna see these guys later down the road. You know, I'm not worried about the first round team, um, but I want to believe that there's a championship run in this team, and I haven't seen it yet.
We
I
want
don't
to believe
feel
so hard.
yeah, I know,
Show
but
us.
I haven't felt the vibes like when we won a few years ago. Those vibes just don't really feel real yet. This season's been a lot more like
Roller
been
coaster.
clenching my butthole a lot more this season. So I don't want to feel that way going out of this season and into the playoffs.
Pat,
I'd say
yeah,
the
do you want to
vibes
see better
were
vibes?
kind of sorry
Yeah.
to cut off, but I was saying the vibes were like feeling great when we were beating some bad teams, and then it's kind of
Yeah.
gone down with some injuries. I think even like Strahler going out, it's been a little bit of
It's
a lot
tough.
of these little things here and there just to kind of work through.
Yeah.
But at the same time, my last point with that is I do think that the kind of fights that they're having to work through right now are going to be super valuable. I mean, even a guy like Zeke and like even Jalen Pickett getting minutes in these games, like big minutes, hitting big
Yeah.
shots, and competing against those. Those are things that are also valuable, as much as we'd love for them to be healthy and beating all these teams. But those things do go along.
Pat, what do you want to see?
Yeah.
A vibes resurgence, or what is it?
Yeah, first thing I'll say is that Evan may or may not need a dude wipe after his last statement.
I was just gonna say I was leaning in to say that. I was leaning in to make a comment about that.
Sponsor us.
It was a Jokic to Gordon alley oop opportunity. I just
Sponsor us, dude.
Um,
Wipe. Sponsor us. We're ready.
But I mean, as far as the vibes go, I feel like vibes were really high going into All Star break, and All Star break can be really good for a team that like, can be really good or like kind of give a little hiccup to a team that's been doing really. And I think it did kind of slow down the momentum for the Nuggets a little bit coming out of it. However, I think we'll be all right. I mean, on Wednesday we got the matchup with the Timberwolves.
I was gonna mention that.
And that's a good defensive. Yeah, it's a good defensive team. Will definitely be a test for Jokic. I wonder if they'll go with the JJ Redick strategy, as Kennedy
The
pointed
Jokic
out.
rules.
So we'll see if they go out with that and see how the Nuggets respond to that. And then March 14th will be. I think that's a really good opportunity, like you guys said, for that statement win. Kind of get some revenge back on those Lakers that beat us a couple weeks ago. Despite LeBron probably being out for that game, I think it's a good opportunity for the Nuggets to show what they're about defensively, see how they can match up against Luka. They've kind of struggled with some shooters, as we saw in the last couple of games, defensively shutting down guys like Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. So I'm curious to see how we come out against Luka and the Lakers. And I think that, like I said, a really good opportunity for a statement win over there. And then my key concerns before playoffs include obviously Gordon's health is crucial going into postseason. As well as, Matt kind of pointed to earlier was a little bit of load management for Jokic. Saw him stumbling around, limping a little bit against the Celtics a little bit, and we were a little bit nervous about
that
that.
elbow too from yesterday.
Yes. And so it's like he's the type of guy, he'll get banged up a little bit, but he's a workhorse, man. I mean, he plays through it. So I mean, you just hope none of those
Jokic
things,
is
blister.
right. Jokic is a Steve Rogers from Marvel. Like he'll just keep getting back up. He can do it all day, right? All good points, fellas. We're looking at the T-Wolves. That one specifically, they have lost 4 in a row to the Timberwolves dating back to the Western Conference semis last year. I really, really want that win. The Timberwolves are starting to play better basketball. They've won 5 games in a row against some bad teams, but their defense has been a top 6 team defensively and a top 10 team offensively this season. So the Timberwolves one to me is huge. The Lakers, even though they're missing LeBron, is big. We still know that Luka can carry a team, and the Lakers have been surging since like January, since mid-January. And then hopefully you don't have to sweat against the Wizards on Saturday. But the Nuggets are looking good as we go down to. Let's do a little check-in, Matt. What's the score? What do we got here?
Yeah, where I'm at right now, it's 129, 118 Nuggets with 3 minutes and 37 seconds left to go in the fourth. The OKC just hit a pretty big shot, but again, 129, 118, 3:30 left and counting.
CB3.
By the way,
We're looking tired.
I want to say something about MPJ too. Like he's been making a lot of scrappy plays lately, and I'm watching on a bit of a delay from you guys, but
Frisky Mike.
I want to see. Yeah,
Bang! Sorry, Christian
Yeah.
Brown just hit a big 3.
132,
Fuck yeah.
120. I like that, Ev. That's a good point. He's been making winning plays. I mean, sometimes he falls
Yeah.
asleep on that backside help defense stuff, and it really pisses you off. The 3 ball has gone away and fluctuated a little bit as of late, but he's been making a lot of winning plays. One that comes to mind is he ripped that ball away from Mason Plumlee on
yeah.
Friday night to tie the game. The Nuggets would have lost that game if Porter didn't make that play. So that's a good
Saved
point,
that
Ev.
game.
Frisky.
Yeah. Not so small thing, but I do want to acknowledge that detail because even though, yeah, like you said, he's kind of fallen off on us with the threes, I'm glad he's at least contributing somewhat. So
He's got to find other ways.
That's what winning players do, and I think Mike's turned into a winning player over the last few years. Even when that shot's not hitting, he's going to find other ways to contribute. And we got really a lot of confidence that the shot will come back too. So we love Mike here. The Nuggets would answer exactly what I wanted if they can pull off this game tonight, which is a statement win. That's really what I've been searching for them for a while now. They beat OKC early in the year in like November, and that was the last time that they had an actual good win. Seriously, if you look at their schedule, that was like one win that was like, oh, like that's a good win. Tonight, if they can pull this off, that would make me feel a lot better about things going forward, especially if they win this game without Aaron Gordon.
maybe they got too used to playing mediocre teams. So they've had a bit of a rude awakening.
I was going to say, and Shea's a minus 14 right now.
MVP? Is it closed? I don't know.
Not my
Jokic's got
MVP.
31, right?
Oh, no.
Yoke has what's he got?
What's our
32.
what's our Yoke stat?
32
He's a
points.
Let me look.
He's a +7.
Plus 12. I got plus 12 right now.
Yeah, Yoke is a +9.
Oh, that's old. Sorry.
37 minutes, 33 points, 16 rebounds, 6 assists on 14 of 19 shooting, 1 of 2 from 3.
Boys,
He
Chet
ain't
is
hear a bell yet.
-16.
He ain't hear a bell yet. He's still going.
Alex Caruso is also a -16.
Not Alex
Caruso
Caruso.
was meant to be a Nugget. That's a guy I've always wanted to be on the Nuggets.
Is it crazy that is it wild to me? Maybe I'm just not that big of a Nuggets follower, but Hartenstein was on the Nuggets.
Yeah, briefly, not that long. He didn't play very much.
I don't think I realized that.
Nuggets
He got
legend.
affected by
Nuggets.
he got affected
Yeah,
by the
Hartenstein.
fact that the Nuggets can't have a competent backup big, because in his minutes, I feel like people were always mad when he was playing.
He was also running pick and rolls with Fox.
That's true. That team was not very good.
Yeah.
That team was not very good. Facu, Austin Rivers, we miss y'all, but yeah. Well,
Part of fucking around with Faku. Part of my language.
Matt, bleep that.
I will bleep that.
Fellas, I don't want to. Jokic just hit a jump shot. We're up 138 to 122 with 146 left. They might have answered the bell and answered the call here from me. I wanted a statement win. They're giving it to us right now. This is
playing
really
hard.
good to see.
They look good. They look like they got like a fire lit under them. They look like they're actually trying.
I swear this is what they were going to do yesterday without some of those wonky things with the AG injury. Jokic elbow, some weird officiating. It was a really weird game yesterday.
The Nuggets have scored 37 points in the fourth. It's the most that they've scored all game, but the Nuggets scored 33 or more points in each quarter.
This game?
OKC, this
Holy
game.
cow.
So
You know-
far, 37 points in the fourth quarter to OKC's 23.
Jokic 35, Murray 32. Jokic is shooting 15 of 20 from the field.
Does Jokic have a triple-double?
This is classic Jokic, dude. Everybody's watching yesterday's game on ABC, and it's a total narrative, huge game. Everybody's watching, and he,
Why do we always do that?
not a crappy game, but Shea took it from him. He gave it to him. He gave it to the Nuggets. It was a stinker. I know. But tonight, the game that nobody's watching, I know, the masses aren't really watching this game probably. Now he's cooking them. Of course, he couldn't do it on the ABC game. That's classic Jokic, right?
Dude, I think Jokic.
At least it's in OKC.
I think Jokic is just self-sabotaging. I don't think he wants another MVP.
He's pulling the when Kendrick Perkins was pulling the race card in 23. When he dipped out of the race, he was like, "I'm not doing this anymore."
Yeah.
It's possible.
Fucking. Ugh.
Matt.
How about Jamal Murray showing up? 32 points, 4 rebounds, 6
I was gonna
assists
mention
on
Jamal earlier.
50%. 50%. He's a plus 14 when he's on the floor.
I wanted to see him have a good game against a team like this that has all these defenders that are lengthy and athletic. Jamal responded.
This looks like a postseason Jamal
Yes.
game to me right now.
And it's the type of Jamal Murray that we need come playoff time too. And I think we've seen a lot more sparks fit second half of the season, especially now that you can kind of tell he's in shape. You can tell he's not really dealing with any sort of discomfort or injury. And so, you can see that with his consistency. And so going into the playoffs, it'll be great to see him have these types of performances along with what you can almost expect day in, day out from Nikola Jokic.
Absolutely. What I need to rewatch this game because how does Shea only have 14 shot attempts? Is that right? 14 shot attempts, 25 points, minus 18.
I feel like he didn't.
That's right.
Play. He was playing minutes, but I feel like once he came back in the third or fourth, maybe the fourth, Nuggets went on a pretty big run.
I'm shocked that Lou Dort has more shot attempts than him.
What's the live?
Lou Nets.
Lou Dort 8 for 14 from 3. He's hit 8 3-pointers.
It's 140 to 120.
Oh no, the game's over, fellas. Hey, there you go.
Game's over.
Lou, Nuggets get a statement win. Nuggets get a statement win. Let's go. If you watched along this far, thank you. That's a real reaction. That is a real truthful reaction. The Nuggets get their first statement win of the season. This is statement week, fellas, and they get us a win. I can't believe it. I'm shocked actually. So that's amazing.
It's as we were already kind of wrapping up things. It's kind of the perfect time to wrap up today's first inaugural episode with a Nuggets win, as we kind of were somewhat live watching.
Talking about what we wanted to see from them too, and almost all of it came into play today in this game.
Yep.
No Jokic triple double.
Can't win them all, right?
2 assists away.
Dude's not stat padding enough.
Well, thank you everybody for listening along with us today. That's just the first show. We're going to be posting things on Instagram over at the Wash Kings Pod and on TikTok at the Wash Kings. For more content throughout the week, we're going to be talking Nuggets weekly on podcasts, but also in short form videos as well. Thanks for listening today. This was a blast, fellas. Thanks for being here.
Shea was in minus 18.
That's music to my ears. The narrative. We're all eating today.
Hey, go ahead and be one of the first people to subscribe.
Yeah, go subscribe. If you made it this far, I can't imagine that you did, but go subscribe.
You
might have.
You might as well. If you need
Give us follows everywhere on every platform. We're going to be posting a lot. We are here. The Wash Kings is here. And we're not going anywhere.
Let's beat the
Lakers. Beat the Timberwolves. We'll see you next Monday, all right? Everybody have a good night, okay?
Cheers. Peace.
Go Nuggets!